What makes a great tennis match? Is it the player's talent, the atmosphere, or even the drama that unfolds on the court? Take the 1980 Wimbledon final between Borg and McEnroe, for example. Known as the Fire and Ice match, it was a back-and-forth battle between two of the game's greatest players, with Borg eventually triumphing in a nail-biting tiebreak. Or the 2008 Wimbledon final between Federer and Nadal. The match lasted nearly 5 hours and featured some of the most incredible shot-making ever seen on a tennis court. Nadal eventually emerged victorious.
There's a new man at the head of men's tennis.
Then you have Serena and Venus. The sisters are two of the most accomplished tennis players in history. Their matches have been marked by intense rallies, powerful serves, and incredible athleticism. A great tennis match is one in which both players give their all and push each other to the brink. It's a game of strategy and technique, where each point can mean the difference between victory and defeat. On March 7th, 2013, a historic tennis match took place that very few people had the privilege to witness. Don Napier, a former tennis champion, came out of retirement to take on Charlie Jones, an All-American tennis star at Vanderbilt. This match was a long-awaited showdown between two talented athletes, but unfortunately, it was not broadcasted for the world to see. However, never-before-seen footage and information has surfaced and has given the world a better understanding of what transpired on that day. Featuring the untold perspectives of those who were lucky enough to witness it, this is the story of one of the greatest matches and upsets the tennis world has ever known. Introducing Napier vs Jones.
I've known Don since probably my freshman or sophomore year at Vanderbilt as a player. And then I first started hitting with him whenever I graduated. My name is Ryan Lippman. I was a 3-time All-American at Vanderbilt University. I was SEC Freshman of the Year, but I currently am the Associate Head Men's Tennis Coach at Vanderbilt. I hit with Don every week. So whether it's on a Tuesday or Wednesday, it's been every week for the last 6 years.
I have been playing tennis with him pretty regularly for the last probably 7 years. Aliki Subanos, I am the head coach at Vanderbilt University for the women's tennis team. I'm in my 16th year and coached alongside Jeff McDonald for 13 years prior to becoming the head coach.
My name is Jeff McDonald. I retired 2 years ago as the women's tennis coach at Vanderbilt. Aliki took over for me. We worked together for 13 years.
You're also an All-American.
I am. I didn't know if you wanted me to include that, but yeah, just a couple times All-American.
That was 3 times.
Was it? You're right, it was 3. It was 3.
I first met Don really probably about 2005 or 6. He'd come into play and just got to know him, and we became a lot closer when I began to coach him.
More than anything, what I pull from my time with Don Napier is how much blank he likes to talk on the court when he hits with me and how competitive he is.
It's right there.
That's just too much stuff, too much power. Yes! Yes, the peg! The peg! Okay, that's enough for the volley game.
All right, can you just go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Peggy Napier.
You've been married to Don for how long?
I've been married to Don for 44 years. A lot of people think it's pretty amazing that Don can still run around the court at his age, and when we travel sometimes he'll be playing with a tennis pro and there might be some people on the other court, and if I'm there they might walk over to me and say, how old is that guy? How can he do that?
There we go.
Come on, Don. I would describe Don Napier as probably the most persistent human being I've ever met, because he comes out every single week knowing he's gonna lose, and he comes back with the attitude that he's going to win. He steps into Vanderbilt and he says verbatim, "Ryan, today's the day. Today's the day I break the streak. 270 some odd matches in a row I've lost to you. Today's the day."
Okay, come on.
You want some volleys?
I don't need any warm-ups. I'll kick
Oh,
you.
hell yeah.
Being on film kind of gets me inspired, ready to go. Did you hear the sound of that? That's like a shotgun blast.
Out.
I can't believe I missed that. Oh well, next point, stay positive. That's called an ace. Oh my! That's called an ace, A-C-E. What is that? Hey, but that is a hell of a try. Look at that. Put the earplugs in. People who saw, they all agreed that the man who ran looked a lot like me. You know that one? Hello, I'm Donald Dudley Napier III.
That's great.
As my wife often says, the turd. Grew up in Richmond, Texas. Started playing tennis probably when I was about 6 or 7 years old. We had a court across the street, and my cousins and I would play. Well, I played, throughout high school, played all the national tournaments. I had a number of tennis scholarship offers at Division I schools, and I was the first tennis scholarship at the University of Virginia.
You were the first tennis scholarship at Virginia?
Yep. I actually have a letter that proves that, because a lot of people say bullshit when I tell them that, but I do have proof of it. So if you want to see it, you can look that up, my letter in my scrapbook.
How long have you been playing, like ex-Vanderbilt players, ex-All-American?
Well, like all former unbelievable great tennis players, I quit for a while. I quit for about 15 years when I took up boxing. And I did nothing but box from about 95 until 2010 or 11.
I need all the wins, yeah. Ain't no answer, gotta get a no call to quits, yeah. Gotta keep on moving no matter how hard it gets, yeah. Better move out the way, cause I'm coming with harder hits. My head is as hard as a brick, but I'm harder than all it is. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. You better move, you might get knocked out, knocked out. My heart on my sleeve.
I'm honored to have been able to work with him.
What do people call you? What's your name?
Coach Lee Wood.
Coach Lee Wood. How long have you known Don Napier?
Probably 25, 30 years. I'd be willing to say he's one of the best students I've ever had. He just improves continually. He never quits working. I mean, I'd give anything for a kid with his repertoire. Everything, I mean, the man's amazing. I'm telling you, Don could have been a real fighter.
Wow.
He's got everything it takes, everything, including power.
What are some words you would use to describe?
Do what?
What are some words you'd use to describe that guy?
There are no words.
Okay.
I know no bad of him.
Yeah, me neither.
Coach, you'll never find anybody with the confidence that man has. Believe me.
I saw this article in the New York Times about the U.S. Open qualifying tournament that anybody could enter. I entered the tournament, and I found that I was still unbelievably good, even though I was old. And that's been the mission, to see how great I could be if I had a coach, if I worked at it, if I did all the work that I do now, how good could I be? And, you know, not surprisingly, the answer is unfucking believably good. I mean, I continue to amaze myself every day when I'm out there on the court. I hit these shots that I think, is this guy, I mean, is he 69 years old? This is more like an 18-year-old out there playing.
Lowest struggle over the past, I don't know, maybe 3 months. He gets to game point, and then he just can't convert. We'll see what he got there. High violation, warning, Napier.
Appreciate it. Thanks. Good try. Good effort.
All right, 4-1, good job.
Play well with it.
Baseline game now.
Congratulations. You see what the great champions do? They get behind, they have the ability to change the momentum. You noticed. Took a little time, bracket strings, fake tying of the shoes, looking at the balls, trying to pick the perfect ball to serve first. Needless to say, this set, if we continue it, will be 6-4 Napier. But instead, we're going to play baseline.
So I would say that I'm operating at about 60%. Don's gonna be pissed when he hears this. Maybe even less. But the appearance is there. I'm giving it all physically, but the ball speed, the angles for which I hit the ball, my serve, it's not quite as strong and as big as it used to be when I was playing better opponents. Sorry, Don.
When you've got all the shots I have, the difficulty for me when I play tennis is I have such a vast repertoire that trying to choose, ball comes to my forehand, let's say, I've got at least 15 different options. And so picking the correct one is hard to do. But that's where if you have a very high IQ, you're able to do that. And so that's really a big factor in my tennis is the ability to think through these things, solve problems on the court, and, you know, get the W in the end. That's what it's all about.
Don has several nicknames. The Texas Flash from early in his tennis career.
And for good reason.
Don Poe.
After the great Argentinian player Juan Martín del Potro.
I mean, there's only two people with this forehand, this big, flat forehand. There's Don Poe and Del Poe. And
they both possess absolutely crackerjack forehands.
It's like my ring name in boxing, the complete package.
His words was the total package.
His word.
That's his word.
Coach, it's a complete package.
Complete package. Excuse me, Nate. Excuse me, Nate.
That's my ring name.
He's referred to as the Oracle at work, and he's also referred to as the Supple Leopard.
Okay, well, we call him the Supple Leopard.
Oh, the Supple Leopard. I forgot about that. I have so many nicknames.
That was based on a day that we saw him playing. He was running down a ball that was going into the side curtain, jumped up on the bench, and then kind of hung onto the curtain and broke his own fall by grabbing onto the curtain and not spilling out. So we call him the Supple Leopard, but he is much quicker than he looks.
He's really fit. I mean, he plays 6-7 days a week. He lifts sometimes twice a day. He runs down balls. Charlie Jones paid him a great compliment of saying, "You move like a slow young guy."
Yes, I'm very familiar with Don's fitness age. He's 29 years old in fitness age terms, if that's a real thing. He is 69 years old, physically.
We've both taken this online fitness test, which is
The only test that's really reliable on this topic is from Denmark.
out of Sweden or Denmark, or I can't remember where, but
It's scientific. I read about it in the New York Times Science section, which comes out every Tuesday, so it's an unimpeachable source.
His was 25 for quite a long time, and now it's 30, supposedly.
My fitness age was 29.
Well, he said it was 29, so
Oh, well, yeah, I mean,
okay.
it might be 29.
I feel like the test is obviously right on point.
I would say he's one of the best players in the world his age. Don would say he's probably the best player in the world his age. And again, the certainty. Who am I to say, even though I've been in tennis my whole life, Don's going to know more than I do about tennis just because, shit, he's Don.
Yeah, so Don's hitting opponents are elite level athletes. You're talking about Sarah Risk, who was an All-American at Vanderbilt, Aliki Subanos, who was an All-American at Vanderbilt.
He hits with Georgina Sellin, who's another great player at Vanderbilt, a little bit with Christina Roskas.
Astra Sharma, who is currently top 100 in the world on the WTA Tour. Fernanda Contreras, who's played in 4 Grand Slams. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So he continues to test his level against the best. He wants to beat the best, and he doesn't do it frequently, but he likes to challenge himself.
Beating the lesser players, there's no satisfaction in that. There's no way that I can, self-actualize and attain my goals if I'm doing that. So it's very much looking for the best people to play. That's why sometimes I wonder why I still play with Ryan Lippman, who's a pretty good player, but he's not quite to the level of some of the others, like, let's say, Charlie Jones, for example.
Have you ever lost to Don?
I have never lost to Don, and I never will. Ever. Yeah, so playing Don is always an experience. You walk out there and you don't know what you're gonna get that day. There's a lot of bad line calls. There's a lot of shit talking.
It's gonna be a whitewash.
There's an occasional nice shot.
He also likes to mess with you and kind of get in your head while you're playing. That could be via changing the score, tight line call, replaying the point if it didn't go his way or he didn't like the feed, but he's very creative in that way.
People can disagree occasionally on a line call. That happens. But sportsmanship is everything, because if you win and you cheat, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Well, shit. Okay, so it was in. Damn it. Oh, lucky break, it happened to be filmed.
I call the lines as I see them.
So Napier versus Jones, in my mind, is urban legend. I mean, it's been talked about for a decade now.
I played with Charlie Jones for 3 years when he was in law school. And so me and Charlie played twice a week for 3 years. And of course, that's the reason we're here today.
He ended up being all SEC first team, dealt with a couple of, actually I think 4 knee surgeries, but persevered through those. And then the ultimate challenge came after he graduated, when he got the call to hit with Don every single week. And every week, I was actually living with him at the time. He'd come home after that, hit with Don, and be like, yep, kicked his ass again. And I was like, Charlie, this guy's 65 years old. I mean, are you happy about that? And he was like, yes. You have no idea.
I mean, I remember Charlie as being a really tough competitor, really fast on the court, covered the court really, really well.
I've heard about this match for many, many years, and just what an incredible feat it was.
And there's no proof, there's no video, there's no witnesses.
I think Jeff was witness. Jeff might have been the only one.
You know that feeling when you're in the presence of greatness and the air seems to tremble and shift?
Yeah.
That was it. A couple times I had to, run and get some water and splash my face. It was just, wow.
So Don Napier at the time is 59 years old. He's going up against Charlie Jones, who's all SEC first team.
He had Charlie guessing. Charlie would make a little bit of run back, and he had an answer for everything. It was as if he'd rehearsed his whole life had led to that moment, and I got to witness it.
It's a match where apparently Don Napier beats Charlie Jones. It's a one-set match, which doesn't count in a real tennis match. You always play 2 out of 3 sets. Unless it's a Grand Slam, you play 3 out of 5. So that's what it is. It's a one-set match that Don won, supposedly, and has talked about it for a decade.
Take us back to the morning of Napier versus Jones. What do you remember about that day?
Well, at that point, once again, this is a story of grit and determination because I had lost roughly 80 sets in a row. But I wasn't going to give up. I was still committed to winning, and I knew I could win. I knew I could do it. I felt good that day. I woke up just feeling very positive and feeling like today could be the day. And got out to the courts, warm-up went well. We started playing, and we got to 6-all, which surprised me because I thought that I would win the set by then, but I didn't. So we're at 6-all, and we're playing the tiebreak for the championship. The tiebreak went to 6-all. And then I got a match point for 7-6. So it's my match point. We're on court 4 at Vanderbilt. Charlie Jones serving into the ad court. He hits a kick serve into the backhand and he moves in because he's expecting kind of a weak, shallow return because Charlie's not that smart. So he moves in. Well, the return is beautiful. It's deep. It's to his backhand. He has to back up. He backs up, kind of stumbles. Shanks it back short to my forehand. And my forehand is what put Richmond, Texas on the map when I was a kid. It is one of the most famous shots in the history of tennis. Cross-court forehand winner, at which point the Texas A&M women's team was practicing on the courts next to us. At which point I threw my racket into the air and screamed extremely loudly, which scared them, and they wondered what was going on. But that was the championship point, and that was March 7th, 2013. Of course, the day after the Alamo fell on March 6th. And every year since then, Charlie's been reminded of this set on March 7th, as he will be reminded this year, hopefully, with the documentary evidence of it.
My name is Charlie Jones. I was a tennis player for Vanderbilt, currently a federal prosecutor in Washington, D.C. I can't dispute that at one point, I guess 10 years ago, Don took a practice set off of me. And at the time, I did not appreciate the significance of it. And now I am just filled with regret. I am just consumed by regret. No idea what happened that day. I'm sure Don texted me, said that he wanted to play. I said, sure. I could use a little beer money. And I showed up that morning and did what I always do, and what Ryan always does, and what Astra always does, and what Georgina always does. And you let him feel good about himself for about an hour. And then at the end, you win the set and you go on with your life. But I guess sometimes life takes turns that you don't expect, and you let it get too close and you don't pay attention, and the wily old bastard takes one from you, and you spend the next decade of your life full of regret. And the stories are told in history by the victors, and Don has earned the right to tell this story in the way he sees fit, and he most certainly has done that.
What makes a great tennis match?
Well, the rivalry, I think, is a huge part of it. I mean, the big names, the Federer, Nadal, the Borg, McEnroe, the Djokovic, Murray. I mean, anytime you get two incredibly big names, you're going to have a great match.
You can start by defining the word match. I don't think typically it's where one player pays the other player to play a set for an hour.
It's styles, it's games, it's temperament, it's a number of different things, but all those things were present in the Napier v. Jones match.
If, for example, there is an extraordinary asymmetry between the players in terms of ability, strength, mental toughness, speed, endurance, and every variable that you can think of, let's just say 4 or 5 decades. What makes a match great in that context is that one of those players has the humility to bring himself down to the other person's level to keep it fun.
But I think aside from that, it's the quality. It's the duration, it's how long each point's lasting, it's the drama.
Because that other person, let's use Don for an example, they might lose hope, they might lose faith in themselves.
Matchups make, in any sport, whether it's tennis, boxing, football, basketball, you name it, matchups make sports.
I think of this not unlike a Make-A-Wish Foundation type experience. And I'm getting emotional thinking about what this has meant to him. I'm just glad to see he's doing well.
How would I describe Don Napier? In a few words, I would say generous. He's a go-getter, right? He goes after what he wants, and ultimately he achieves it. I give him a lot of shit, but he's someone that I look up to tremendously and that I really, really respect.
He is the most disciplined person I've ever known in my entire life. And early in our marriage, he decided he was going to do 100 sit-ups a day and 100 push-ups a day. And I remember one night we're going to bed and he said, "Oh my gosh, I have not done my sit-ups and push-ups." So he right there got down on the floor and did them. He's not going to miss a day. He's
been an incredible supporter of our team. When Aliki and I, we had a couple of lean years, and then as we began to get better, our budget wasn't that big at that time, and Don and Peggy stepped up with really generous gifts that allowed us to get some extra things for the team, and I credit them with a lot of the success we've been able to have as a program.
He is. Don is very involved with the Vanderbilt tennis community, supporting both of the teams. He's out at all the matches, as is his wife Peggy. But he's really become sort of a mainstay at our facility, just in terms of how often he's around and how much he supports the team, and we're super grateful for that. Thank you, Don. I should say that Don is also our HAA JVC, which is the head assistant associate junior volunteer coach. I think he has a shirt that has those letters on it for the women's team. So lean on Don heavily for advice on pretty much everything regarding coaching. When you have a head assistant associate junior volunteer coach as backup, that's he's kind of our secret weapon, I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you, Don, for paying me so much money over those 3 years. No, but in all sincerity, I will say, Don, you are a singular personality. You are just a mess of contradictions in the most hilarious and enjoyable way. And one of the things I miss most about Nashville was being on the court with Don.
Even being his age and being able to play really well it's still possible. You don't have to be young and fast and fit and all those things. You can achieve those things even at his age.
Don is a man of many talents. He plays the guitar amazingly, and he's a great cook. He's a big reader. He is an amazing tennis player, as you will see in this documentary. We've always told him that if he goes before me, his marker, his tombstone is going to say, "Got the job done." What I would have to say about my husband is that he is totally one of a kind, and I absolutely love him.
Oh, I'd just like to say how much I've enjoyed this. It's been one of the highlights of my life to be in here with Matt, who is an expert at these things, and Ryan and Andrew. And, you know, as I was driving through the cemetery coming over here, I was thinking, I don't know how much time I have left at this age. And events like this are very meaningful. And does anyone have a tissue?
Memories of times that put my mind at rest. Memories that stand like a rock inside my brain. Memories on a runaway mine train. Thoughts go through my head, take me years ago today. Thoughts I thought were dead, come alive, seem here to stay. You need that. That's 3 chords.
That's gonna be the song that we might use at the outro.